This is actually a very valid question asked by someone who is Christian to someone who is non-Christian. She believes in Jesus, and that's fine. They said, but if he doesn't come back, who's going to save mankind? Who's going to save me, especially after I die? The short answer is you, and you. And let me explain. And as I explain this, I want there to be an understanding for all those who have deconstructed or are going through the process of deconstructing. As I had spoke on my live recently, when you are deconstructing, these are some of the questions that you will end up asking yourself, especially in those first few years or those first few months when you truly decide that you're going to walk away. Who's going to save mankind? Who's going to save me? Especially what happens after I die. And I say you, and you, because the person that is responsible for saving mankind is each and every last one of us are responsible for the well-being of mankind and how we treat ourselves and how we treat one another. Who's going to save me? You will save yourself. One of the processes that we go through when we're deconstructing is that we go through this anger phase. The anger phase teaches us the anger phase shows that we are upset and angry at all the people who had taught us that this was the truth. We're upset and angry at those that we depended on to make sure that from childhood or when we matured into it, that they were teaching us correctly. And to find out that those things were wrong, it's very upsetting, and you become angry at those people. And then you become angry at yourself. You become angry at yourself because you allowed yourself to live a certain way, believe a certain way. You allowed yourself to do things that you hated, to participate in things that you didn't necessarily want to participate in. You allowed yourself to be fooled into believing that this information was correct. And it took you so long to move yourself out of it. So you then become angry with yourself. But as you work through it and start to conceptualize the fact that your intelligence and your emotions have been at war with one another, that every time you had an intelligent thought, you then emotionalize that thought to retreat back into the dogma to which you have been believing in. And so you become angry with yourself. But as you get beyond that, as you get past that, you start to go into the next stage, which is who's going to save me, especially after I die. You go into what is a void, a loss, an emptiness, a wondering of if this was wrong, then what is right and who is right. And as you go through that void, you find yourself alone. You find yourself scared. You find that you want to retreat back into what you believe to be a safety net of going back into the belief. Because at least when you had that belief, you knew that you was going to be saved and you knew what was waiting for you in the afterlife. And so there's a part of you that struggles with your emotions that says that I want to go back. I want to go back to that comfort. I want to go back into that fetal position of just simply believing, regardless of the information to which I've come to understand. And if you can make it through the void, you come out shining. You come out shining. Because in that void is where you have to reconcile to yourself that your emotions will betray you. Your emotions will lead you astray. That if you do not get past the fear that you have of death, get past the fear of what comes next, that you will retreat. But if you can get past that fear, when you get past that fear, when you recognize that the only person that can save you is yourself, when you recognize that the person that you are and the person you have rebuilt yourself into, because you have to empty that cup that you used to be, and you have to rebuild yourself. You've lost friends, you've lost family, and your whole identity was connected to those family members, those friends, going to those church services, going to those church events, being a part of this larger community. When you have lost that identity, that portion of yourself, and you're in that void, the moment you start rebuilding yourself, you start discovering this new you, the you that you desire to be, the you that is true to your spirit of who you really are. That's when you become stronger. That's when you start to realize that the only savior that you ever needed was you, to be your true self and your authentic self. And when you realize that, you realize that you have now saved yourself. Now, especially when after I die, your intellect will tell you, as long as you don't emotionalize it, your intellect will tell you that no one has died and come back. No near-death experience is a true death experience, so you cannot validate what happens next based on a near-death experience, because it could just be, or most likely is, a grand hallucination that a person has based on what they've been indoctrinated into, or what they believe, or what they've seen on television, what they've heard over and over and over again. So basically what they've been conditioned to believe, which is why most near-death experiences are synonymous with the environment the person lives in. If you listen to near-death experience of people in India, then they're seeing Brahma, or they're coming back as in a new caste, a higher caste. If you have it in America and around Christians, then they all go to heaven or they all go to hell. If it's in Saudi Arabia, then they all see Allah or they all go to hell, go to Muslim hell. It is synonymous with their culture. So it is a hallucination brought on by the things that are already in your subconscious. So no one knows. And that is probably the most difficult thing to become comfortable with. The fact that you don't know. But in the fact that you don't know what you do know, just like when you lucid dream, as I did last night, you begin to control the dream. You begin to manifest in the dream what you desire to be in the dream. You change things to be fitting of what you desire for them to be. Short example. So in the dream that I had last night, everything was great. Everything was fine. And then some Chucky-like little entity was trying to fight me and destroy me. And as that Chucky-like thing was relentless and kept coming no matter what I did to it, I paused the dream. And then I decided to shield myself with a golden bubble around me. And the little Chucky thing couldn't get to me anymore. It was trying, it was fighting, but it couldn't get to me. And then I decided to make myself into this big golden armor looking guy. And I stomped on that little Chucky, and then I ripped it apart, and then I disintegrated it just by holding it in my hand. I changed the dream. I changed the situation because my mind was powerful enough to do so. So it is my contention that upon leaving this existence, I will manifest many things. But relative to the power of my mind, when I leave this plane of existence, I will determine what my afterlife is. And getting comfortable with even that is difficult for many people, because it straddles the line between humility and arrogance. But when you have it in balance, it is just reality. It is not arrogance, nor is it humility. It is a balance between the two. It is reality. So I hope this helps you. I hope this answers your question. But for those of us who are or have deconstructed, I hope it helps you more so in your journey. So y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.